I've shown you how to make Windows 11 look like OS X. And I've shown you how to make Windows 11 look indistinguishable from Windows 10. However, today, I'm going to go one step further, and we're going to make Windows 11 look like Windows XP. Stay tuned. Windows XP may possibly go down in history as one of the most popular versions of Windows in history. I mean, come on, Windows XP is legendary. Prior to Windows XP, Microsoft would maintain two completely separate code bases for Windows. You had Windows NT for businesses and Windows 9X for home users. Microsoft brought both of these together and based Windows XP off of the NT code base. This sadly killed off Windows 9X, which consisted of Windows 95, 98, 98 SE, and Windows ME. However, for the first time, home users were able to take advantage of the NTFS file system, as well as a code base that had prior to that been written for business applications. It was solid and reliable. It also consequently made things a lot simpler for Microsoft. Instead of having two completely different code bases, they just had different editions, Home and Pro, all based off of the same code base. However, as legendary as Windows XP was, with all versions of Windows, it had to die. That death was delayed twice, but finally came to an end on April 8th, 2014, making it the longest supported version of Windows to ever exist at 12 years. If you want to enjoy Windows XP today, it requires loading it on an old system or a VM and really not being able to do anything with it. However, today that's going to change because I'm going to show you how to give that vintage look of Windows XP to Windows 11. But first, we got to pay some bills. So check out today's sponsor. Is your copy of Windows 10 unactivated? Well, it doesn't have to be, because with today's sponsor, VIP SCD Key, you can get a valid Windows 10 license for under $20. Stop dealing with that stupid watermark on the desktop, the valid license for Windows 10. Also, with an activated copy of Windows 10, you can upgrade to Windows 11 for free. Just go to the link in the description below and pick up a valid Windows 10 license key. During checkout, use the code CYBERCPU for a 25% discount. Once you have your key, go to your activation settings in Windows 10 and click on the link that says Change Product Key. Enter the product key you just purchased and hit Activate. Now you don't have to deal with that stupid watermark that come with running an unactivated copy of Windows 10. Now, on with the video. So, this is going to take us quite a while. So let's stop wasting time and let's jump on the computer and get this done. Okay, so here we are. We're in a relatively default version of Windows 11. And we're going to make this look probably not indistinguishable from Windows XP, but we're going to make it look pretty close. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is, obviously, the center start button is simply not going to work for Windows XP. So to switch that, you right-click on your taskbar, click on Taskbar Settings, and then you want to go down to where it says Taskbar Behaviors. And then from there, we want to change the alignment from center to left. Now, obviously, we're not going to be keeping the Windows 11 taskbar anyway. However, we still have to move it over to the left just for the next steps that we're going to be doing. So that should be the first step you do, is to move your taskbar over to the left, or at least your start menu over to the left. Now, the first thing that we're going to need is a program called retrobar. And retrobar, you can pick it up on GitHub. I got it right here. I'll go ahead and leave its link in the description below for it. And all this does is it turns your taskbar into the Windows XP taskbar, or a lot of different versions of Windows too. Let me show you. Let's download it real quick. We're going to click on Releases and we're going to scroll down until we find right here. We want to get the 64-bit version. And then once we download that, I'm going to go ahead and show it in folder. And we can go ahead and minimize our Chrome here. And then once we open this up, all we want to do is we want to run this application right here. And once we do that, it's going to have us, we're going to need to install the .NET framework. So once we hit More Info, hit Run Anyway, it's going to give us a warning saying that we need the .NET runtime. So for that, it's really easy. Just go ahead and hit Yes. It'll open up a new browser window, and it'll go to download the executable. And if your browser does this to you, you'll have to hit Keep like that. And then once it happens, you go ahead and click on it, and we can install the runtime real quick. And it shouldn't take too long to install, so we're going to get this done. I'm going to go ahead and minimize Chrome again. And then that was successful. We can hit Close, and then we can run retrobar again. And then once we hit Run, it should change our taskbar to the more retro looking taskbar. And as you can see, this is more of a Windows 98 look right here. But when you click on the start button, it still opens the Windows 11 start menu. And this is why you had to move your start menu over to the left, because otherwise, if you didn't, it would still be opening the start menu in the middle and it would be a little cumbersome. However, we want Windows XP, not Windows 98. So to do that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and right click on the taskbar and we're gonna click on properties. And then from the retrobar properties, it gives you a bunch of different themes and a bunch of different settings that you can make to the taskbar. So we're gonna go ahead and click here and we're gonna check Windows XP Blue because that's the traditional Windows XP taskbar color. However, you can go through and you can pick any color you want. One of the colors that I used to really like back in the XP days was the silver one because it does look pretty cool, but you can pick any color you want from here. I'm gonna stick with blue for right now, but you go ahead and choose whatever you want. And then also there's a bunch of different settings that you can click here, like allow font smoothing. Right now, it's kind of the more retro look, but if you want the fonts to look a little bit better, you can click on that and it'll clean the fonts up a little bit. And you can also show preview thumbnails as well. Right now, if we highlight over these, it doesn't give us anything but the little tooltip when we highlight over the actual task itself. But if we hit show window previews, then when we highlight over this, it'll give us little previews of the windows themselves. And depending on if you're going for a purist look or not, you can check that on or off. And then also we can hit the show desktop button here, which this will allow us to hide everything on the desktop or not. I'm gonna go ahead and leave that turned off for myself. And then we can also collapse the notification icon areas. And that's all of these icons right here. As you can see, all the icons are open for everyone to see. But if we click on collapse, it'll collapse them all down. And if you want, you can hit customize and you can decide which ones are shown and which ones aren't. For instance, I'm gonna show fan control right here so I can see what my temperatures are. And then once you do that, you can kind of see how it arranges everything in your taskbar at the bottom right there. And then the next thing we want to do is click over under the Advanced tab. We want to make sure to click this to automatically start at login, because if it didn't, well, we'd have to run this program every single time we started Windows. And then you also have several different things that you can do right here in order to like scale the taskbar if you want the taskbar bigger or smaller. You can also show the taskbar on multiple displays if you want to. But I'll go ahead and let you play with all of these settings later on. Right now, we're gonna move on to the next step. So to close this, just go ahead and hit OK. And so far, we're starting to look pretty close to Windows XP. That is, until you hit the start button. So the next thing we need to do is we need to give ourselves the Windows XP start menu. And to do that, we're gonna move on to the next program, which is OpenShell. Now, a lot of you guys might be familiar with OpenShell. It's a really common program that's been around for a long time, but I'm gonna show you how to configure it to make it look like Windows XP. So we're gonna go ahead and click on releases, click on the latest. Then we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna grab this executable right here and it'll go ahead and download it for us. And then we'll click here, and we'll hit show in folder so we can open it up right there and then minimize our Chrome again real quick. And again, all of the links to all of this stuff is gonna be in the description below. So we're gonna go ahead and install this real quick. And the installer is just like any other. Just go ahead and hit next and install. And it should go ahead and install the button for you. And now the first time that you click on it, it's gonna give you this little settings menu right here. And the one we're gonna wanna choose is obviously not the Windows 7 style. We wanna go with the classic 2 column right here. And then from there, what I recommend doing is clicking show all settings. This will give you a lot more advanced settings. And we're gonna need a few of those advanced settings here in a little bit. So the first thing we wanna do is go over to skin. And from skin, right now it's set to Metro. So we wanna go ahead and change this to Windows XP Luna. And then from there, if we click the start button, you can see it's starting to look a lot more like Windows XP. However, some of the things that I would recommend doing is if you click on right here where it says no icons in second column, if you uncheck that and click on it, then you get your icons in the second column and it gives you your shutdown icon here at the bottom as well. And you can also play around with these things if you want. You can change these to small icons too, and it'll be a smaller start menu. However, I'm gonna keep mine big. However, at the same time, you also can change the skin variation. So if you wanted to go to silver, you can have the silver start menu from XP as well. Now the next thing that I want to look at, we're going to go ahead and switch this back to blue, and the next thing I want to look at is when you click on the start button, as you can see, the start menu kind of floats a little high, and that's because in Windows 11 the start menu floats higher than it would normally. And to fix that, it's really easy. All we want to do is go up here into Menu Look, and then from Menu Look, we want to go to the vertical position offset. So right here, the vertical position offset. And I found that on mine, 16 seems to work the best. However, this might be different on your computer. So you gotta play around with this number and then click the start button until you get the start button just to where it just goes right above the taskbar itself. And then this next one is kind of optional, but this is one that I like to change myself. But if you go into special items here, and then from special items, if you scroll down to control panel, as you can see right here where it says category view, if you don't check this, then when you click on the start button and click on control panel, it gives you all of the different options for control panel. And you know, I don't really like that. I like using the category view. So if you check category view there and then click on control panel again, then you get the traditional category view. But you set this to whichever way you want to. And then from this point, these are about all the settings that we need in the start menu. So we can go ahead and hit OK. And then as you can see, this is starting to look pretty close to Windows XP. So we're starting to look like XP. However, there's a few things that just aren't right. Like for instance, we still have the Windows 11 icons, as well as quite a lot of other features from Windows 11 that are still pretty prominent right on our desktop. So let's get back on the computer and I'm going to show you how to change the icons so you have more Windows XP style icons. Let me show you. In fact, they're not just Windows XP style. We're literally going to use the exact icons from Windows XP. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, so the next thing that we need right here is we need the Shell32 DLL from Windows XP. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description below to a copy of the Shell32 DLL, but keep in mind that you're downloading this from a third party. So don't necessarily trust that this is going to be a legitimate copy of the Shell32 DLL. I've played around with it and I haven't seen anything wrong with it. But if you want to be a little bit safer, you can always source this Shell32 DLL from an installed copy of Windows XP or from anywhere else on the internet that you find to be a more reputable source. But I'm going to get mine from this link right here. So once you click on it, it's going to go ahead and download it. We're going to click Show in Folder. I'm going to minimize this. And then there's a couple things that we need to do to this. First thing, we need to extract it. So we're going to extract it right here. And then we're going to open this up, and this is the DLL we want. Now we want to put this somewhere on our computer. We don't want to just leave it in our downloads folder. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another copy of File Explorer here. I'm going to go into a folder that I've created on my root drive just called Cyber CPU. You can copy this to any folder you want, but I'm going to copy mine to right here. So from here, we're going to close some of these windows to save ourselves some space here. Now we want to make sure to rename the Shell32 DLL. If you don't rename it, then it's not actually going to change your icons the way that it's supposed to. So we're going to right click and we're going to hit rename and we're going to change this to Shell32 XP DLL. And that should give us a unique name for the Shell32 from Windows XP. And then once you do that, we can go ahead and minimize it. Now to change the icons, I'm going to concentrate on the recycle bin because obviously that's a really obvious icon that you have on your desktop all the time. So to do that, we click on Start, we go into Settings, and then from Settings, we want to go into Personalization, and then from Personalization, you want to click on Themes. And then from Themes, you want to go to Desktop Icon Settings. And this will give you your little desktop icon window here that essentially has been the same since, I think since Windows XP, honestly. But what we're going to do is we're going to change the recycle bin full and the recycle bin empty. So we click on that, we click change icon. And then as you can see right here, we're using the DLL from Windows 11, and we obviously want the XP one. So we're going to click on Browse. We're going to go to where we saved that DLL file before, and we're going to click Open. And then from there, you can see now you have the Windows XP icons. And we're just going to scroll through this thing until we find our recycle bin icons. So there's our full icon. Then we're going to click here, and we're going to change our empty icon. And we're going to do it the same way. We're going to go back to that DLL. We're going to scroll through until we find the empty icon. We're going to hit OK. And now keep a close eye on the recycle bin here. As soon as I hit apply, you'll see that the icon will change to the Windows XP one. Now, earlier when I told you you had to rename the Shell32 DLL file, the reason why you have to do that is because if you didn't rename it and you followed these steps, then you'll notice the icon doesn't change because Windows will automatically use the Windows 11 Shell 32 DLL for its icons, which happen to be the default Windows 11 ones. So as long as you rename the Shell 32 DLL to anything else, then it should work fine. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, so you can go through and you can change all the other icons that you want on your system, just like I've shown here, except for one little thing. Let me show you real quick. So if you come out here, and let's just say that we have a folder right here. So I'm gonna create a new folder, and obviously that's a Windows 11 folder. But if you right click on it, you go to Properties, and then from the Properties menu, go over to Customize, and then from Customize, you can see down here where it says Change Icon. And then from there, you obviously have the Shell 32 from Windows 11, and we don't want that. We want the one from Windows XP. So we're gonna click out here, we're gonna go back to our Shell 32 and hit open, and then we're gonna pick the icon from Windows XP. And as you can see, once we hit open, now we have a folder icon for Windows XP. Unfortunately, when it comes to changing icons, this is gonna be a file per file basis. This isn't something that you can do once to one folder and have it apply to all your folders. I wish there was an easier way to do it, but that's the way it is for right now. However, you can at least change the icons that are on your desktop, at least the ones that are right in your face, to make it look just like XP. So let's move to the next step. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is our theme, because obviously if we open this up, you can tell that it's pretty obvious that we're using Windows 11 when we click on things, and you can tell this is definitely the Windows 11 theme. However, there's a couple of different ways to change this theme to look more like the Windows XP theme. And to do that, the most popular way to do that is just to use something like Windows Blinds. However, Windows Blinds is not a free program, but it does make it look exactly like Windows XP. So if you want to use that, I think it's about 20 bucks. If we click get it now, I think it might tell us what the price is on it. Let's take a look at it. Actually, let's click download. Okay, yeah, it's 20 bucks if you want to buy it. However, I'm going to show you a way how to do this for free without paying for Windows Blinds. So for this, we're going to go ahead and leave Chrome open, and we're going to click Start, and we're going to click on our settings. And then from settings, we're going to go into personalization. Then we're going to go into colors. Then from colors, we're going to scroll all the way down to where right here where it says show accent color on the title bar. And when we click that, as you can see, it changed the accent color on your title bar. And then you can kind of play around with this one until you get one that looks more like Windows XP. And as you can see, you still have the red close button as well as the darker blue maximize and minimize buttons right here. And this right here will give you at least a more Windows XP look in your themes. However, there is some downsides to this. Like for instance, in File Explorer, it doesn't change anything. For some reason, any tabbed program in the newer versions of Windows, they don't respect the accent color from Windows 11. And you know, I don't know if this is a bug or if this is something that's going to be the way it is. Also, if you open up Notepad, Notepad is the same way, because Notepad, I just realized, is a tabbed program now, which I didn't realize until making the notes for this video right here. However, it is nice. However, at the same time, it kind of stinks because you can't change the theme on this. Hopefully this is something that Microsoft will fix in the future. So if you followed this far, you'll see that we're getting really close to looking like Windows XP. However, there's one glaring problem that we have. Tell me if you can see it. Yeah, it's the background. Clearly, that's not Windows XP. So let's do the final step, and let's get the Bliss background on this system so we can truly look like Windows XP. Okay, so to do this, you could always just download the Bliss wallpaper from an install of Windows XP. However, if you go and follow the link that I have in the description below, there's a 4K version of this wallpaper available that you can always use. And to do that, you just go ahead and download it. You just save it onto your computer just like this. I've already got mine saved. And then from there, you right click on your desktop, go to Personalize. From Personalized, go into Background, and then choose your photo, hit Browse Photos. We're gonna click Bliss, hit Choose Picture, and that's it. There's Windows XP. And you know, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do with this. You don't have to leave it looking exactly like you do. You could actually go to kind of a crossover if you want. Like for instance, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back over here, and there's another theme right here that kind of sort of looks like Windows XP, but more of a modern version. It's called the Basic Split Windows 10 skin. And I've already downloaded this, but I'll leave a link in the description below. All this is a forum post that somebody posted right here, but you can scroll down and you can actually get this from this forum post. And I downloaded it already, so I'm going to show you how to install it. So in order to install this, all you have to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab the Basic Split Windows 10 skin right here. I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. And then from there, we go to the C drive. We go to program files. We're going to want to go down until we find OpenShell. And then from OpenShell, we have skins folder. And then from here, all we got to do is just paste the skin into this folder. And to do that, just like that, hit continue, and it'll paste it in there. And then from there, all we want to do is click on Start, Programs, OpenShell, and click on OpenShell menu settings. And then from there, we want to check on skin. So all we have to do is select the skin. We want to go ahead and click Basic Split 10. And then from there, if we click on it, as you can see, it's a more modern version of the Windows XP skin. So for those of you who grew up with Windows XP, this should bring back some pretty good memories without having to run an ancient, out-of-date operating system. The great thing about this whole process is that you don't have to follow exactly what I did. If you're a purist, then you can make things as exact to Windows XP as you can make them in Windows 11. Or you can give it a modern twist like we did here. It's all completely up to you. It's your system and you can do whatever you want with it. In fact, if you like this video, then check out this one here where I show you how to make Windows 11 look indistinguishable from Windows 10. That'll give you a lot more options with customizing your desktop. As always, you guys have a great day.